Janine, I need you to do something for us.
What's that?
I need you to just step away for like 30 seconds and not listen. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll walk. Do you want to
just BRB?
Okay. BRB.
I'm ready.
Janine, are you there?
No, he's not there, but I'm telling you, I'm ready.
Oh, I'm ready too. Listeners, what Janine doesn't know is Julie and I are going to try to slip in as many puns about hand jobs into the next hour as we possibly can. Count along at home. Let's see how long it takes for him to figure out what we're talking about Oh, is he back?
Janine? No.
For us to break and start laughing. I'm going to type and say, come back. Come back.
That's going to be the hardest for me is not laughing.
Not laugh? Well, because, you know, if all goes well, you and I are going to crack each other up. Do you maybe have a fan going in the background?
It's actually the computer.
Oh, buddy.
Here, you know what? I will... Yeah, it's mine. Do you want me to go get my USB mic?
I don't know. I don't think it'll make a difference.
Okay. I mean, the sound will be there, but who cares?
Oh, who cares?
Everybody's recording in coronavirus time, so
it's like Sophie is getting a blow dry, or a hand dry, if you will. Come on, Janine, come on back. Where are you? Come back.
Maybe he's gone for good.
What's
Definitely.
Yeah,
there we go.
We were like, maybe he just left and is never coming back.
That's possible.
I mean, I have so many places to go, like my kitchen.
We just needed to talk about our periods for a second.
Okay, well, I have stuff here if you ever need it.
Do you really?
So you actually took our advice?
Yeah, I did.
Welcome to Podlander Drunkcast and Outlander Podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine.
Hey.
And Aaron's got. Sorry, who's Aaron? Janine. By the way, we got a very nice message today from a new patron who also sent me a lovely message on Twitter that specifically addressed you as Aaron. I mean Janine, and it made me laugh really hard.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, longtime listeners will remember one time that we accidentally spent an hour talking about what kind of female sanitary product, not female, what kind of menstrual sanitary products Janine should keep in his house for his guests who might need them. And
he took that advice.
I'm learning now that he did take that advice. That's great.
He took that advice. Janine, that's incredible.
Yeah, well, you know, you guys, it was a good conversation. And then a very strong point was made that this is good for my go bags first aid kit too. So
Yes, Kara.
It is. You got to put it in your bum roll.
Right. Oh man.
You know, you could put it in all kinds of things, but even if you don't have room in your bum roll, you could at least carry it in your hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
In your clutch.
In your clutch. Yeah.
I mean, I have
like right there in the fists.
I have a nice satchel I'd put it in.
Yeah, I bet you put it in your satchel. But if you don't feel like putting it in your satchel, like I said, you could just take it in hand and offer it to your female companions. Sorry, no, God damn it. Offer it to your companions who need menstrual products that way.
There we go.
So we are talking today about the noise Julie's computer is making.
I can totally go get that mic if you guys want to chat for like 2 seconds.
I don't know what difference the mic's going to make.
Is your computer just like fanning itself really hard?
Yes, it is.
It's just swapping?
Yeah, because I was on it most of the day. Like I have it and my work computer open at the same time.
It's a Monday, guys. It's 4:20 for us. It's been a goddamn day.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a goddamn day. I want y'all to know that Tom has to finish it. You know, or he's finishing it himself, but I started it with my own 2 hands. Chicken stock from the chicken I roasted this weekend, and I made sautéed chard with lemon and Parmesan.
Ooh! With the lemon, was the lemon hand squeezed?
Oh yeah, it was hand squeezed. I took it in my hand and I just sort of like gently squeezed it, then the juice came out.
Right now?
We're talking about food. And and then some garlic and some onions and some Parmesan, and it is delicious. We're not eating dinner just yet, though.
Oh,
Allison, I have to
bird
say,
in hand versus two in a bush, huh?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Allison, I have to say that during this shelter-in-place order, I've noticed that you've been cooking a lot more, and I'm so proud of you. I'm just really glad that you're able to like get in there, get your hands dirty.
Oh yeah. Well, it's very satisfying. Even if it's not necessarily food that I'm going to eat, and it's just for the enjoyment of someone else, it gets very satisfying, pleasurable even, to do that for someone else.
Did someone get a handy in this episode? What's going on?
Yay! Oh my God! It only took him like 4 minutes.
5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. Oh my God!
You're so smart.
Oh my God!
Janine,
Good job,
I would have
Janine.
just fucking gone on like I did with that Fleetwood Mac fucking bit.
Hold on,
and I
hold on.
never would have known.
Hold on, I gotta finish it off. One last pun for you. Here's how we're gonna finish things off. Tusk!
Oh God! Wait, the moment you said like we're gonna blacksmith like with our hands, I was like, what the fuck? Sure, that seems like it hurts. Did I miss something? And then I just well done, you guys.
Thank you.
You really.
I really
nailed it.
wish we could have made it all the way through till when it actually happens in the episode because it would have gotten epic.
I mean, we'll still probably it'll get a little bit epic.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You guys described that happy birthday scene, and I was like, just insane for like 2 weeks. So, like, I don't
So
know
you're
what's
it's
gonna
on your
happen
mind?
here.
Are you
This
saying
is
that?
not.
Jesus.
This is not gonna be that.
Oh, okay.
So we are talking about Monsters and Heroes, an episode of the show that chronicles pretty faithfully one of my favorite sections of the books, in which a potential disaster befalls the ridge and gets everybody in a tizzy, and then a buffalo shows up.
Good, finally.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Aaron!
And then
it's
the
magnificent.
buffalo gets a hand job. Just kidding.
What is this? The Yellowstone? Come on.
Picnic baskets? I don't know.
No, because
this-
the buffaloes were like, I mean, people were trying to like more or less give buffaloes handies this summer, and we're just getting attacked by
Wait.
buffaloes because people are idiots.
Wait, no. What?
No, that not like actual handies, but they were trying to get
Okay.
selfies, which might as well be like an Instagram handy. But like they were basically like pulling off the road to go get up in a buffalo's grill, and then
Don't do that.
The buffalo was like, "Motherfucker, fuck you," and then like attacked them and then shot them into the air by headbutting them.
I think I remember seeing this.
It was what's insane about that is that I was on that road not 2 hours earlier when that happened. I saw those
Wow.
buffaloes. I like drove by the exact people who did that stupid shit.
Well, maybe you saw one of the ones that's going to be in the episode today.
Well, these
Maybe you did.
are plains buffaloes,
Well,
not forest
and
buffaloes.
also those were Scottish buffalo from a buffalo farm, as we learned in the slightly less infuriating than usual inside the episode. They had to find a buffalo ranch in Scotland, which is hilarious to me. But somebody's got one, so there was some. They took some green screen equipment and filmed some Scottish buffaloes. By the way, I have to say, of all of the things that happened, the eventful things that happened in this episode, I think the most eventful is that none of them knows how to fucking hunt.
Yes. That was a little unbelievable.
Brianna and Claire are the only people who know how to hunt. Everybody else, they're all like, ooh, time to go hunting. And they come back with fucking nothing. And they only get meat when a buffalo literally wanders into their palatial yard, their carefully mowed lawn.
The croquet court.
The croquet
Yes,
court.
absolutely.
Man, I wanna play croquet.
So let's do this. Julie, how does this one start?
All right. So the actual cold open this time, buffalo. So it's good that we were talking about it because buffalo.
Would you say that the buffalo is both a monster and a hero?
Yes.
What about of men? Monsters, not men. Never mind.
Monsters
Monsters
of mice and men?
of mice and men. That's. I don't do pop culture jokes. My bad. That's my bad. Sorry, everybody.
It's all good. So we see a couple of buffalo, and I imagine that one of them goes, because they always do in every video of them. And then credits. And then after the credits, we see checking the oh, that's right. This was a very cute scene between Claire and Marsley, where Marsley's getting her prenatal appointment. She's about to have a baby, and Claire's giving her the old run through.
Yeah, she's like, let's take a listen to that belly. Let's check these ankles. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Let me get my ear trumpet. I'm going to put it
great.
right up to your tummy. And then Marsley has a really nice line where she says, I'm so glad I could share this with you. It makes it as my mother. Like, she calls her mother.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like, and she specifically says, you know, the first two, this one time it should be old hat, but I'm glad I get to share this with you, and not for the medical stuff, I'm paraphrasing, but because as my and she looks kind of awkward as she says it, and Claire gets in her feelings. It's very nice.
It was very cute.
I want to make it clear, Marsley will have that baby this episode, and it is the 7th least eventful thing that happens in this episode.
That's very true. In the exam, there is this really, to me, what was funny moment where they're looking each other dead in the eye, and there's this long pause, and I'm like, shh, whilst I put my hand in your cooter. Because it was literally like a shit, like, yes, I know you have to do that. Okay, I'm doing this. Mom moment. Oh, and then fucking voiceover.
Yeah. When we were doing the crowdcast, Julie threw up her hands. Was like, God damn it. Clarification.
Yeah, clarification VC, and all I wrote about was something about colors and time.
Let me briefly, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but once upon a time... Julie, I'm assuming this is what you're referencing.
Of course
okay,
it is.
Good. Just making sure. Once upon a time, I was not quite dating someone I really shouldn't have been, who went from just not even knowing that I existed. This should always be a warning sign. Not even knowing that I existed, to heart eyes emoji, because I said the words Jonathan Franzen.
Oh, that's fucking cold, dude.
Yep. Should have known. Anyway, like the bloom was already well off the rose, and I was just kind of trying to like let it not ghost him, but like let it sort of take a natural death, since it wasn't really a thing. I was just sort of not, you know. And then I get this text, after which point I did have to be like, you know, I think I'm glad that we're friends, but I'm not sure this is the right thing. I got this text, and it was raining, and I was out. I was out with some friends, and I got this text that was like, "It's raining. It's beautiful." It's like, yeah. It's like it's the kind of night. It makes me want to write a poem, and I responded. I was like, "Great. You should do that." Like I think poetry is wonderful. If you want to write a poem, you should do it. And he responded, maybe something about the texture of rain.
What the fuck?
And it was...
Is this a handy joke? What's going on?
Oh, no.
This is
there
real.
was no penal contact at all. Wow. That was... If it had been in the works, that would have been a real, what they call a boner killer. Because I couldn't decide if it was the texture of rain that offended me the most, or if it was something about. And I showed it to one of my friends I was with, who happens to work in publishing, who I'd see very infrequently. I was like, Michael, is this grounds for automatic shut it down? He was like, yes. 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 I was like, I feel like a snob. He was like, no, something about the texture of rain? It's like, yeah. I mean, also just write a poem. Don't text me about it, but something about the texture of rain.
I love
You want
that
to know what
story
the
so
texture
much.
of rain is? Wet.
I love that story so much.
Anyway, Patty.
So I totally wrote it into my notes.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Listeners, we did the Crowdcast yesterday, and about halfway through it, I know I'm a great actress. None of you had any idea. I started feeling really nauseous, so we postponed till today, 4:20. Hey. And so Julie she's been sitting on that for a full I don't know, more than 24 hours?
28 hours.
Good Lord.
I was sitting on a lot.
Worth it. You're sitting on a lot. It was quite a handful of your nuts.
I would say it was difficult to handle. So
I like that I'm in on it now because this makes it more funny.
So we
that's
cut
the opposite of a hand job, Janine. Then you're not in on it. That's a one-person show.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, the other person has to be into it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 1.5.
Certainly into it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to say there's definitely a halfie there.
We're,
You know,
Okay,
Janine,
I
all
know.
the build up for this, I'm telling you, we're still getting there. And
Oh
you're
my God.
not even sort of prepared for what it actually is.
that is kind of like a hand job, so.
Yeah, exactly.
But you never really expect it to go as long as it does, but it does.
First
It does
penis I saw.
It's
first
because
penis, very first
it's
penis.
because it's not their penis.
Exactly. No, for sure. It gets,
Yeah.
no. Everyone's like, oh.
So,
this is-
well, that comes back later. Don't you worry about it. So we cut to Brianna Angelic beautifully asleep on her bed and fucking snuffly ass, creepy ass Roger trying to all make out with her while she's asleep.
I mean, she does seem
He's
to be...
nuzzling her. That was
it's
rough.
a nuzzle. They're First of all, they're sleeping starboard style.
Nude.
Yeah. So they're sleeping a la starboard, and which means Roger takes off his CPAP machine, and then
Oh, but does he?
oh boy,
You'll never
and
know.
then leans over in all of his hairy resplendence and sort of starts nuzzling her and kissing up on her. And she wakes up, and I do have to say, because there was some chatter about this in the Slack, wakes up and immediately seems pretty into it. This is not a I'm trying to fuck my wife while she's unconscious situation.
It's very true. It's very
This
true.
is like, allow me to wake you up with my morning wood. And then she's like, ooh, okay. And
Ooh,
then,
all right,
and
morning
then-
wood.
And then all of a sudden the baby is like, ooh, my parents are about to have sex.
And
or
I wrote, baby cock blocker.
Yep, I'm paraphrasing Jimmy, obviously. And then Roger goes, shit.
And then
Which
the
is
baby
important.
goes, shit. So the baby says shit, and Brianna's like, dude. And that boner killer.
And also in that, further boner killer, also in that conversation, at one point, she's like, I don't even remember how Jamie comes up, but she starts talking about her da.
Again.
Which, don't
And then
talk
he
about
just
your
kind
dad
of
when
lets
you're-
himself in, too. So it's like Jamie's always there.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's like a pum, 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 pum on the door. And Brianna's like, okay, well, let me just wrap this blanket around myself. And she hilariously takes the entire blanket, and Roger like cups his own balls and starts looking for his pants. So I'm saying he takes his hand, he puts it around his genitalia, and then he starts looking for his pants.
Why?
And
Because
Jamie...
somebody's at the door.
So Jamie, they open the door and it's Jamie, and Brianna's wrapped up in a blanket, and Roger just barely has pants on, and you can see him go like, I interrupted something, and then somewhere in his brain is like a diddle, 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 and he remembers when Murtaugh used to walk in on him and Claire, and he gets all sad, and then he thinks about eating some puss, and then he goes back to talking to his daughter, and then the baby goes, shit.
These are really some intense acting moments for San Juan.
Shit.
The baby saying shit was very cute.
Can I have a shit scat?
So Jamie showed up because they need a hunting party to go kill an elk or some shit. They need meat on the ridge.
And he looks at both of them and then is like, so, Brianna, would you like to come hunting? And you can kind of feel Roger, who's again, was just cupping his manhood, go like, ooh, go.
Hey, Jamie does make a dick joke, though, because he says something about we wanted every able-bodied man, and you're certainly able-bodied. So that, to me, means he saw that his son-in-law had a hard-on.
Then he didn't jerk him off.
Nope, he did not. He did
This
not.
is not the scene in which
take
a
that-
hand job occurs.
Yeah, that did not happen here.
Okay. It
Hold,
did feel
hold
a
on,
little early.
hold on just a second.
Yeah.
Waiter, bring me another Mai Tai.
I told Neil just to come into the room whenever he makes whatever he's making.
Let me
So-
see if that I think he has his headphones on. Hold on. I have to text Tom the words, waiter, bring me another Mai Tai.
That is...
Waiter,
Quarantine.
bring me another Mai Tai. Nope, not autocorrect. Not man. Mai Tai.
Man tie.
Man tie.
Man tie. Nope,
Like
that's
plural
that's
of
later.
mantis?
Where you tie one on your man. That's later.
Handfast.
Handfast. Oh yeah, there is some discussion about them being handfast with no witnesses.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't think there'll be another one better than that.
Something tells me this is going to be a 3 cocktail show.
No, man. Okay. Fucking A. Let's get to it. Come on, Allison. We got to get there. We got to motor through.
We're going to. Well, you just got to keep going because, you might be getting tired, but it's going to come eventually. So you just keep at it no matter how much your wrist hurts. Tom!
Oh, my God.
I can't even yell for Neil because guess what? First of all, he's half deaf. Secondly, he can't hear because he has earphones on.
So did Tom. That sound was me hurling a packet of pumpkin chili mix across the room to get his attention.
Cute.
Guys, I'm not drunk. I've had exactly 1 beer. I was just very productive today, and I'm high on handjob jokes.
Yes. And we're going to keep getting high on our own fucking supply. We got to keep going.
We are.
Allison,
because
there are
we're
so
not
many
even
chances.
close yet. This is just the pre-cum.
Oh, boy. Now
Janine, it's bummer is not the right word, but the real complicating factor of this really is a very good episode with a lot of substantial stuff in it, but then also there's this hand job. It's an episode dominating hand job.
Is it? I mean, we're going to get to the hand job at some point, but like
I said, your wrist is going to get tired, but we'll get there eventually.
Is it something where it's just like, oh my God, and a hand job? Good grief.
No, it's more than that.
It's more than that.
Oh,
What the
trust.
fuck?
Trust, my baby. Trust.
So they're going out hunting. And Roger is an able-bodied man, as evidenced by his morning wood. So he's going to go with the whole gang. There's random settler who we never know about, who is probably starving because he's living in a tent because no one has built his house.
Let's call him the stranger.
Okay.
Oh. God damn. Just avoid. Just avoid.
Aaron, it's going to be happening the entire episode. Just buckle up.
And then there's 1 Beardsley because you can't do 2 Beardsleys at once. You've got to have balance.
That burns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's 1 Beardsley, which I assume that was to save money. Anyway, there's only 1 Beardsley. It's Josiah. You can tell because he looks a little bit less crazed. And then Fergus, who's there and is doing some serious brow acting.
Perfect brow acting.
Wien, obviously, who we just witnessed killing a wild boar, so he knows what's up.
Huian, right?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me.
By the way, I want you to know the Slack channel has overruled us. They've ruled in favor of another nickname. Fuck me in. As coined by Jen Lander Drunklin. And I think we will probably rotate through nicknames because there's Who-ian, there's Wow-ian, there's Golly-ian.
We trust you all to understand when we're talking about young Ian.
Yes.
Fuck me in is good though. I like that.
But fuck me in. So
fuck me in's pretty good.
I mean,
fuck me in can't kill anything though, which is weird. That didn't make any sense to me.
So basically the way that this hunt happens is they go into the woods. And then they see some buffalo, and Jamie and Roger go like, they're following the sound of buffalo, somehow get separated from their party. We don't really see how that happens. And then everybody who isn't Jamie and Roger is like, well, the buffalo ran away. I guess we better go back. And they just leave. Julie, is that an exaggeration?
I think it took a little bit longer for them to leave because they specifically referenced, he told us to be back here at dusk. Yeah. So they do wait around for a while, but the main point is that they are separate. Jamie and Roger are separated from the hunting party, and they are alone together, and that's the way it is.
So that's it. That's a wrap on the hunting. The number of creatures that get killed in hunting,
0.
One,
So-
and we're about to get there.
And
Sorta.
no hand jobs in the forest, apparently.
No.
Not that we know of.
Wait for it. There might be.
Oh.
Let's leave it open for joking and inspiration. Because I know that the word tug exists, and that could come into this.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
There is some serious tugging.
It is just a mastercraft in tugging.
Yeah. So, but the Beardsley party.
Yeah, they're gone.
Again, everybody but Roger and Jamie. They're like, see ya. I know everybody has to subsist on meat because we were too busy carefully crafting the woodworking in the big house to plant crops. So we better kill some things. Somehow the only thing that exists in this forest is a herd of buffalo, and they ran just slightly too fast, so we couldn't kill any rabbits or anything. Sorry. No deer, no pigs, no bears, only men in bear suits and a herd of slow-moving buffalo. That's all we got. So they leave. Jamie and Roger, on the other hand, are like, ooh, buffalo. Jamie takes a shot, misses. He's like, Roger, go. And Roger runs, I'm assuming to throw his gun at the buffalo because
He's not
a
an
terrible
excellent
shot.
marksman.
While Jamie refills his fucking powder and puts another ball, whatever the fuck, in while he takes 76 hours to reload his single shot rifle.
Gets another one in the chamber.
He gets one in the chamber. He is primed and ready.
That takes some time.
And then out of nowhere, he gets bit by a motherfucking rattlesnake.
What the fuck?
Not even a no shit, a what the fuck. Seriously, you hear a sound and he's disturbed and alert, and then because Jamie is fast thinking, he takes his dirk in his hand, as you do, and he slashes it down at the rattlesnake and cuts its head off.
One could even say that he beat the meat because he hit it several times.
There's what's left is like the main body of the rattlesnake, and then just like a shaft and a head.
Just the tip.
And then he checks his leg, and sure enough, he was bit by a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
He hollers, manly holler, and Roger comes running, having missed the buffalo when he threw his gun at it. And he comes running, and he's like, oh, I had a wee encounter with a snake. And then Roger says, well, then where's Claire? He's like, no, not that snake, a different snake, a literal snake, an actual snake.
I can't tell what's real and what isn't real.
Well, the snake is real. He really does get bit by a rattlesnake.
This is true.
But the dick joke, though, it could be a dick joke in there, too.
No.
Ooh,
He
however,
really gets bitten by a snake.
This
But
is
you
like
know
an
what?
LSD episode to me, man.
It
Holy
is a
hell.
dick. It is a dick joke on all of us.
It is. And I want to tip my hat to Dr. J and some other folks who were in the crowdcast who managed to make a high-level medical joke about being bit by a rattlesnake that involves the acronym DIC for like it's a real thing, and I can't remember what it is, but they made a lot of high-level medical dick jokes I could never understand without a very expensive education, and it made me so proud. DIC. Anyway, so Roger is then like, oh, I guess I better key to this, and he fucking cuts out a big chunk of Jamie's leg and starts sucking out the venom with his mouth, which is a different kind of job.
He was trying to prevent the disseminated intravascular coagulation.
Ooh, you know a little something about venom.
C. That's it. DIC. That was it.
You know what I Googled?
That was
the DIC snake thing. That was.
That's fucking awesome.
We live in the future, everybody. We live in the fucking future.
That's so funny. I love that you did that.
Jesus.
Oh, I love you.
Oh, man.
So Roger puts his mouth on Jamie's leg and sucks out his essence. And it's a really good effect. Like the bite looks really, and I'll say this whole episode, the makeup is fucking on point. Great.
That's true.
All of it. Like, all of it. The makeup on his leg, the makeup on his face, like, all of it. Mm-hmm. But Roger starts taking in, and I love this section of the books. I did not quite picture the geyser. Oh, God, that was an unintentional pun.
I was like, what?
Ooh,
No.
wow.
No, because Roger sucks it on that wound and then spits out what is obviously like a mouthful of blood.
Ugh, yeah,
And
it's terrible.
and just like spews it. And then like drinks whiskey to purify his poor little mouth. And it's very bad. So then Roger, and this is like a really, really good touch that I cannot remember whether or not happens in the books or not. Jamie's like, go find the others, you useless ponce. Go find somebody else. So Roger goes wandering, looking for other people, and can't, like, trying to find all the people who saw a single buffalo and were like, guess it's time to go home.
Yep, we missed it. Oops.
Oops. So he's wandering around and he can't find them. And as we were watching the crowdcast, Julie was like, why isn't he yelling? And there's a reason he's not yelling, and it's because he can't yell anymore.
Oh,
And Richard Rankin does a really fucking good job with this, because you can see he looks so helpless and like
Yes.
frustrated and sad. And when he does eventually yell, because it is his only option, it's the most desperate sound. His vocal work. Richard Rankin, I swear to fucking God, that guy is going to get an Emmy nomination this year. He's really killing it. And he's killing it despite some bad writing for Roger. But
Yep.
like the last couple episodes just fucking nailed it. And he is great in this episode. He and Sam are both great. So then he comes back and he sees Jamie cooking the snake.
Yeah, just like fucking filleted open, pulled up on a stick over a warmly inviting fire, because this is the shit that Jamie does, right? He's just oh, I've got bit by a snake. I guess I'll have to start the fire.
And he eats it. He eats it and he goes, fear's fear.
Fucking Christ. Good God.
Eat the flesh of the snake that bit you.
Fucking hell.
So then they're just in the woods and they have a conversation over like many individual scenes, right? And I wouldn't do it justice to try to summarize it, but this, like the Beardsley episode, is kind of a let's call it a shelter in place episode, where there's a lot of like stationary little moments, and the writing of the conversation, I think, is really excellent. They have a brief tizzy about which Bible verse one of them is quoting, and at one point Jamie, he just steadily creeps downhill, just like, he is not doing well. He asks if Roger could read him his last rites, and Roger is like, well, you're not gonna die. And he says, how about a prayer then? And he says, all right, but it won't be in Latin. And it's fun because Catholics, and they like just kind of they're sort of bickering, but mostly it's affectionate. And then Jamie starts to talk to him about like the things he needs to know if he's going to die, like what he needs to tell Claire and what he should do. And he says that Claire needs to go back. She can't stay because there's nothing for her if in this time, if he dies, and it's safer there. And if Jamie can travel, they all need to go back. And he talks about Stephen Bonnet, which is going to be a big deal. So he says Stephen Bonnet's alive and blah, blah, blah. He basically does a previously on Outlander about Philip Wiley and all that stuff. And Roger's like, I've never killed a man. I don't know about killing someone. And Jamie's like, well, your dad went to war, and if you had been the right age, you would have gone to war too. So Jamie just like knows about the Second World War because of course he does, because Claire's talked about it, but it's a weird thing to hear Jamie Fraser being like, World War II.
That thing.
She's like, like that thing.
That thing that happened.
With, guns that were more
said
powerful
that.
than my reloading time of 5 minutes.
I see what you tried to do there. I see.
I'm not the Joker in this one. You guys are killing it so far.
Well, we're trying.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great, Janine. So anyway, they have this conversation, and we see it sort of ebb and flow as Jamie looks worse and worse, and he's looking really rough. Meanwhile, back at the Ridge, back on the ranch, Claire, and Brianna are like, oh, well, they probably just camped for the night.
Oh, and this is, I don't know if this really is important at all, but everybody else on the ridge is busy dyeing all their fabric with indigo. It's dyeing day. It's not important at all.
I think it's just homesteading.
Yeah.
Mostly because then we see an extremely pregnant Marsley still just kicking ass. Oh, and I think it's activity for Claire and Brianna, right? Because Claire and Brianna have a very important conversation that only becomes clear of its importance later, where Brianna's asking her, like, did you always know you wanted to be a doctor? And Claire says, well, I didn't think such a thing was possible, but I know this is my purpose. You know, my purpose is to be your mother and Jamie's wife and to save lives. And if I lost the two of you, at least I would have that. And Brianna says, well, what if your calling, what if the thing you're meant to do is a thing you can't do because of your circumstances? And Claire says, this is a really good piece of writing that I think is maybe a direct adaptation from the books, and if not, is pretty close. She's like, are you talking about you or Roger? Because Roger, obviously, you know, as a professor, relied on his voice, and here the thing that sort of distinguished him was the singing, and now he can't do that either. And Brianna was studying to be an engineer, and, like, you know, now she's old timesy. And Brianna says, well, both. And then it's like, I wonder if that conversation will come in handy.
Handy. Oh, it'll come in handy.
It'll come in handy.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to be fatigued by the time we get to it. Rubbed raw.
Well, just imagine how Outlander's wrist is feeling.
That's true. It's not feeling as chafed, maybe.
That is where that conversation happened too, hilariously. I'm just looking at my notes.
In the dying?
Yeah, that first cut back to the dying. And so then that's when all the other hunters show back up at the ridge and like, we're not together. And it's like, oh shit, Jamie and Roger are still out there.
But they probably just pitched a tent.
That's right.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
So then they have their Dark Night of the Soul conversation. It is very good. It's difficult to summarize and do justice. I will say, here's a little tiny bit of in the book stuff. The part of the reason that I love this section of the book so much is that Roger can't move Jamie because Jamie is a fucking redwood of a man, right? Mm-hmm. And also because it's too dark. So, like, it's not dark when the injury happens, but it is late enough that even moving quickly, they'd have a hard time making it back in time before they lost the light. And certainly with Jamie injured, they're not going anywhere. So they hunker down. And in the book, certainly they talk about Stephen Bonnet. They talk about some other stuff I'm not going to mention because I don't know how the show's going to deal with it. And then they talk at length. Jamie basically monologues about all of the shit on the ridge, how he knows all of the people, their relationships to each other, who you need to make sure you're keeping the peace with, who is behind on their rent, and you need to make sure that they're going to be able to feed themselves, who, like, the families that could come to blows and the people whose egos needs to be assuaged and, like, the overall needs, what needs on the ridge haven't been represented, some connections back in Scotland, plans for the future, where things were going to go, what to do with the whiskey, how to talk to Fergus, what to do with this, what to do with that, like off the top of his head. And as it's happening, Roger realizes it's because and Jamie uses the word son of the house in this episode, and it's very nice. But Roger realizes, like, oh, okay, well, he doesn't think I'm worthless because he is preparing me to take over all of his shit. Like, all of the things that this remarkable brain, because we talk about how hot that guy is and how successful he is at laying pipe and whatnot all the time. But important to remember that he's also a cunning linguist and that he has many, many skills outside of the bedroom. and even though the show doesn't always show those things, he has a pretty remarkable mind. So it's a longer conversation that's incredibly intricate about all of the balls that he has in the air.
God,
Unintentional, that one.
Just couple.
They're just flowing now.
Yeah.
Like a
Ooh.
river.
And once
Not
it
yet.
starts, it's hard to stop. You know, it's like once
Not
it
yet.
starts,
Hold
it just
on.
keeps going.
Damn.
I know that takes practice to slow things
We have
down.
to edge this episode a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Watch out.
Man. Gosh.
So wait. Oh yeah, that's when they show up. Last rites. Blur. Kill Bonnet. Oh, this scene was really cool, Allison. The one thing that really stuck out at me that doesn't usually stick out at me a lot with this show was the camera work. It reminded me a lot of the Doom Hut.
Yeah. You know what? People in the crowdcast said that too. So it would be Doomwoods, 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 Doomwoods. Yeah.
Doomwoods does not work as good as Doom Hut.
Why do dooms fall in woods?
Snake bite.
So in the morning, when the morning comes,
First light.
Roger takes a bunch of wood and makes a little like a little sleigh.
Yeah, and then he tugs Jamie on home.
Yeah, and he puts Jamie on it and he tugs him and he's tugging him through the woods. And there's a bunch of like funny, surly banter, but it is very obvious. And these two do a great job with this. It's very obvious that they have turned some kind of corner. Like the two of them had this exchange where they just like all
really
of the bullshit went away because it was
close.
Yeah, well, they're getting extremely close. But all of, and this is why I love these scenes in the book so much, is all of the other shit goes away and all that matters is who is going to take care of this family. Like what needs to be done and who needs to be protected and all of, like, and how to be a man and how to be a laird and how to be a father and husband. And it becomes obvious to Roger that, yeah, maybe he's a terrible shot, but, you know, maybe he shoots too early. Maybe his aim is bad. But Jamie really does consider him a son and is prepared to make sure that someone picks up this mantle and takes care of these people. And it's great. So they're going through the woods. Roger's just tugging Jamie along. And meanwhile, the white horse, I forgot this. A white horse appears at the ridge out of fucking nowhere, David Lynch style. Like it's just all of a sudden there's a white horse and everyone's like, oh God, that's Jamie's horse. So they realize, I guess we should probably go looking for him. So Ian and Fergus and Rollo, bless, the best, very good boy. They take off into the woods and they can hear Roger and Jamie can hear him, and Jamie is like drifting in and out of consciousness. He says at one point he starts being obviously very sure he's about to die and says like, tell Claire I meant it, and tell Brianna this and do this and that. It's upsetting. And Roger is obviously panicked because, you know, it's not going to be great for his marriage if he drags Brianna's second dead father
fuck.
out of the woods. So then he can hear Ian and Fergus and Rollo, and he goes running looking for them. Like drops Jamie on his little kit or whatever, goes running, and he's trying to scream and cannot. This is like the halfway point of the episode, by the way. We're not even close to completion. And he's trying to scream and he just can't. So he takes a stick and he's beating it on the tree. He's beating it as hard as he can.
He is beating the shit out of that wood.
He's beating that wood.
He's oh man, there's another joke.
And you know what? Roger really rises to the occasion. And he manages to get Rollo's attention, at least. Rollo, very good boy, goes
can hear the
racing
stick
through the
fighting.
woods and like licks Jamie's face and is there. And so then they manage to bring Jamie back, looking like living death.
Oh, he
Just
looks
looking
terrible.
terrible, just really terrible. Julie, what happens after that? Other than
They get back to the ridge, and this is where my notes start dying because the weird shit starts happening. Okay, here we go. They bring Jamie back, and it's bad news, right? And Claire doesn't have any way to get penicillin into his system, right? And she keeps talking to Marsley about how it's going to take forever for the, penicillin broth that she made for him to ingest it, for it to really make any difference in the infection in his leg, because his leg is just garbage.
right, and there are basically two problems. The problems are the snake venom that's still coursing through his body despite Roger's fervent sucking, and the infection. So Claire is obviously trying not to panic. Brianna's trying not to panic. Marsley's trying not to panic. There's a really nice moment when Marsley does not say, fuck that guy, but when they're lamenting the fact that they don't have a syringe, and she's talking about Browntown, and it's like, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't remember exactly what she said, but you can see Lauren Lyle in her head going, fuck that motherfucking asshole.
Yes.
We need a syringe, man. It's great. So first of all, Claire says, hey, hunters, you know how you did all that hunting yesterday and you came up with nothing? Do you think with all your hunting prowess, the hunting that you do, you can manage to hunt down some fucking maggots? And she sends everybody off to go find maggots, so that they can put maggots on Jamie's wound to eat away the dead flesh.
Oh, yeah.
Can I get a maggot?
Yes.
Good job, Janine.
Oh, my God. Ew.
So they go hunting for maggots, and Brianna feels really helpless, and Roger is obviously worried, and Jamie is not about any of it. He is not a good patient.
No, he starts kind of getting more and more agitated and a little bit more crazy, I think, because he's got a fever and he's just not well. And he looks over and sees that Claire has a saw on the table.
Ugh.
And he's like, fuck no, man. And he kind of loses it and like grabs the saw and is like, you'll kill me before you take my fucking leg. And Claire makes a promise to him that she won't take his leg, even though she knows she would if it meant he was going to live, right? Yeah. And then she has to make this terrible promise because she knows she's going to break that promise if it means that he continues living. But he's fucked up, man. He is not well.
He is not at all well.
Looking a little flaccid.
Yes.
He's very limp, like really.
Yes. Just
Well,
a languid limp.
If she
Kind of
has to,
soft looking.
you know, if she has to cut off that leg, that's a permanent limp.
Oh,
Reach.
my God.
Yeah, that was a real reach.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's distressing, and like I said, the makeup it's fucking incredible. He just looks terrible, and Claire, obviously, it's very obvious that if it comes down to it, of course she's going to amputate his fucking leg. It's just that then she has to worry about whether or not Jamie will ever forgive her.
Forgive her, right. So, does anything specific happen before the entrance of our credit buffalo, or does that just kind of fucking happen?
Well, like I said, it's shelter in place episode. People are just having conversations, so it all tends to blur a little bit. But basically, Claire's concern is poison and infection, and the poison, she says, his body seems to be fighting the venom, but the infection is bad. And if there was a way to give him penicillin with a syringe, maybe that would be fast enough. But as it is, it's not looking good. And she is having a hard time. So they have a conversation about only one of us is allowed to be scared at a time. Jamie says, he'll love her forever, whether he's dead or not. And Katrina Bethlehem kicks the shit out of it. She's very, very good. Brianna is also worried. Roger's also worried. And then Roger calls Roger Mack into the bedroom and is like, oh no, Buffalo comes first. You're right. Because yeah.
Because it cuts to Lizzie hanging up some of the fabric that they've been dying to dry, and she looks at the baby because the baby's talking about something, and then she hears something and turns around, and there's this enormous buffalo behind her.
The baby is like babbling like, I'm cute to Lizzie, and then he looks behind her and he goes, shit. Not really, but it would be great if he did.
I can't tell anymore.
She turns around and
Lizzie is scared as hell.
I believe it.
Huge buffalo.
Buffaloes are fucking massive.
She screams, and Brianna comes out. God, Brianna gets a couple of really good moments this episode. Brianna comes out in her very cute pants and vest and sees the buffalo and sees her baby and is like, no, and just starts yelling like, hey, buffalo, over here.
This way, asshole.
Here, buffalo, come over here. Look how amazing. Look at this ass. Come this way, buffalo. And distracts the buffalo. And then eventually it runs at her. And there's first of all, inside the episode, there is footage of Sophie Skelton, bless her heart, having to act against a guy who's just wearing a big coat. Like he's not in a mocap suit or anything, because of course they just green screened it out, but it's just a dude like in a large brown coat.
Was it the bear guy? It was the bear guy, wasn't it?
Probably.
They're just like, hey bro, come here.
Hey, get in here, do this again.
You're an animal.
And then it charges at her and beams her, and she goes cartwheeling through the air.
It really looked like she would have gotten hurt way worse than it appeared afterward.
You guys should look up those videos.
She's young. She's resilient. She bounces back quickly.
You should look at those videos from Yellowstone. Fuck that. That would fucking hurt as
the people
shit.
getting bucked or like tossed by the buffalo.
It sounds like they got beamed like Brianna did. So yeah.
It wasn't cool, but she's okay.
Okay.
Well,
good.
and it's a pretty good effect. Like it's convincing looking, and she's all right. And meanwhile, Claire is like feverishly loading a gun, right? And I wish that there were a visual component to this episode, because there's a natural hand job joke when you're jamming the powder down into the rifle, and I'm making the gesture right now.
Yeah.
And with one shot, she gets it, and then Brianna cuts its throat. And blood goes everywhere, and they kill a buffalo. So 2 bitches managed to kill a buffalo that literally wandered into their yard.
They gave it that sweet release.
They did.
They did. Oh, it splooged everywhere. The blood, I mean.
I don't know.
So then they're butchering this buffalo. But Jamie, after Claire has made the shot, he's obviously hurt. He's dragged himself on his forearms out to with a blanket covering his gentler parts. Drags himself out to the porch like he was gonna do something about it. It's distressing. Then he makes Roger he calls Roger in and is like, Roger Mack, I would sleep in my own bed. And it's obvious that what he means is I want to die in my own bed. So Roger recruits Ian. It's like, we gotta bring your uncle up to the bedroom, man. He really wants to be in that bed. And he's really heavy, and I just dragged him through the woods. But I tugged him through the woods by myself. I need a second pair of hands this time around.
Yep.
So they lug him up the stairs, and he gets in bed. And Jamie says something. I don't remember exactly how it comes about, but Jamie says something about how he would rather die than have his leg amputated, and he can't trust Claire to not do it and he won't be able to stop it himself. And the very best scene of the episode.
Yes.
And it didn't happen in the book because Ian wasn't back yet in the book for this scene. So this is an addition of the show, and it's great. It's brilliant. Like, it's really clear that they were thinking about the character and what he would say. Ian loses his fucking mind. It's like, I'm sorry, what are you saying about my father who's missing a leg? What are you saying about Fergus, who you consider your son, who is missing a hand? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like a disability rights advocate. Like, he loses his mind on him. It's like, I wanted you to be my dad when I was growing up. I looked up to you so much. That's why I ran away to Edinburgh to see you, and I never thought I would be ashamed of you. And I'm so ashamed of you. And I used to be embarrassed about my dad not having a leg, but I have realized how brave he is and how smart and strong he is, and I'm so disappointed in you, and just like unloads on him, and it was
so good.
It was fucking great. John Bell, man. Cheer.
Yeah,
I'm toasting my microphone. Boink.
Boink.
Killing
that
it.
was
Just
she's
killing
right
it.
though. That was the best scene in the entire episode.
Ugh, it's really, and Jamie looks so ashamed of himself, as he should.
Yes. He's being a dickbag.
It's it is completely understandable that you would severely grieve the loss of your leg. But what a thing to ask of any doctor, let alone your wife. Like, he made his wife promise to let him die rather than perform a procedure that she wasn't going to want to do, but that would save his life so they could have more time together. It is understandable that he would be upset and grieving, and no one has to be well behaved when they're going through shit like this. But man, it was incredibly satisfying watching Ian dole all that shit out. Oh, it was great. Later, Fergus shows up, and Ian has a conversation where he's like, well, so Jamie's up in the bedroom because he didn't want to die in one of Claire's hospital's 57 double beds. It's bizarre. There are so many beds. Why are there so many? There's a bed in the kitchen.
Was it somebody on this Slack who said one bed for every fireplace? Mm-hmm. That cracks me up.
There's a bed for every fireplace.
It's like an opium den. Like, there's just beds everywhere.
Just beds.
Yeah.
Only they're all like painted a cheery green and glossy. They're all double bed. I was like, no, this is opulence. They own everything.
There's a reason why Fraser's
60% of North Carolina's beds, fun fact, actually found in Fraser's Ridge, but just in the one house. Everybody else is still just sleeping under pine boughs. Everybody's just in a fairy hut. They're all in fairy huts, except for the Frasers, who have all the beds. They went to Bed Bath & Beyond and got all the beds, and also all the baths. Fun fact, there are so many baths. Anyway, Patty.
Fergus gets to have that great callback of a man of leisure. That made me laugh.
And one became oh my God, it's even better than I thought it was. Julie, do you know what the line is?
What is it?
In one stroke, I became a man of leisure.
Oh my God, perfect.
I was about to drink some water. I stopped. Thank you for giving me the warning.
Yeah.
That's the line. That's the real line. So Fergus essentially says to Ian, like, well, you have to be patient with him, because even if he's not being well behaved, we need to be with him when he needs us. That's what he needs, even if it's hard. And Ian is like, yeah, well, I feel bad that I was such a dick to him. And I was like, no, don't feel bad. You spoke the truth. Jamie was being a tool. Anyway, it's very nice. If nothing else, it was nice to see Cesar, damn boy, get some lines. That was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was great.
So now Jamie's in his own bed, and he is looking very, very terrible. And it looks like he's just going to die. That's the way it is. And he's alone in the bed, and he has a start and kind of wakes up out of whatever kind of delirium he was in. And Claire, Allison, do you know why she was in the chair instead of in the bed with him to begin with?
I assume that she fell asleep in the chair as she was sort of watching over him.
Okay.
Without coming to bed.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
so she wasn't in the bed
to
with
give him a head start or something.
Yeah. And he reaches out to her, says something to her. I don't know what the words were. I know that he actually starts to fade away, and he says, touch me, right?
He says, touch me. Yeah.
And then guess what she does?
Uh-oh. Wait.
She
right then and there?
She jerks him back from the jaws of death. This isn't a euphemism. Claire gives Jamie a hand job that brings him back to life.
You're kidding.
She's really got the magic touch.
She jerked him back to life.
Yeah.
So
Her jack off instruction was live. JOI, live. That's
technically. She took off her nightgown and laid on him so that because he was complaining about being cold. Okay. So she was helping his body temperature, and then it probably was like a adrenaline, right?
Yeah, you can tell this ridiculous fucking scene, which I'll remind you, which first of all this does happen in the books. Second, is the second time that Claire has used sex magic to will the life back into Jamie, because she also did this after his terrible fucking attack from Blackjack Randall. She fucked him back to life once before, so this isn't the first time. But it's so weird. So basically, Jamie says, "Touch me," and his breathing is really labored, and it's very obvious that he's straight up dying. And the way that Katrina plays this is she's obviously panicking. So she like puts her whole body on him, and then it's not like you see his peen or anything, but the way she's moving her arm, it is very obvious that she's tugging on that D.
When we were doing the crowd cast, I'm like watching it, and I'm like, is she giving him a hand job? And everybody started flipping out in the comments, and I was like, what? That's stupid. It was so funny. Like, on one level, I get the physicality of it, but on the other hand, I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? This is a show about a time traveler. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, it's
who would have thought big dick energy worked like that, though? You know?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Life energy, big dick life energy.
Big dick life energy.
It's like big dick blood pressure, like big dick healthy circulation.
It's his taproot that they really had to
energize.
Okay. If we're going Wiccan,
see what you did there.
You know, going.
It's
Hey. That's the fiery cross.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Man, I can't wait till all this is over. We can go to the Oasis and fucking hang out for real.
I can't wait
guys.
for that either. Good.
You know what, Janine? I feel like just on the off chance there's any misunderstanding, I want to be really clear about what happens. Jamie is dying, and Claire saves his life via hand job.
Yep. Nope.
Somebody on the Allison? I can't remember if this was on the Facebook page or the Slack page. Somebody said that their husband was like, hand job, huh? You'd think she'd at least given him a blow job. And then like walked out of the room. And I was like, you know what, sir? I agree.
Yeah, except for the dialogue would have been like this then.
Oh, wow.
Sounds a little bit like the Swedish Chef.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Like that.
Wow.
It took a weird turn.
Wow. That just now? That's when you took a weird turn?
Yeah. For me. Anyway.
I mean, they would be. She would be praying.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah. Gargling last rites. Jesus.
You know what? It does sound like the Swedish, like hurdy, her. Point is, he comes back to life. But
I know that this was supposed to be very serious. It really was actually supposed to be serious and about their true physical connection, right? But it almost felt like this particular scene was made specifically for us to talk about it on a podcast.
Somehow Daphne showed up in that writer's room and like, listen, guys, we really need to give them some fucking
I'm going to need you to give them at least 1 hour and 5 minutes of straight dick and hand job jokes.
I will say,
Thank you,
in
Daphne.
the books, this is an easier thing to pull off because, you know, you're in Claire's mind, so you understand like there's a need for closeness and there's a need to like remind him of the strength of their connection and like it just it's less of a handful.
It does feel like this is one of those things that doesn't like maybe
here it's a little bit harder to swallow.
Yeah. And it wasn't like the writers were doing anything to lend them a hand.
Yeah, this did feel a little raw.
Katrina, she did just she pulled it off all by herself.
You know what, Allison? Low five.
Oh wow.
So the next morning, you'd think we'd get a scene where Jamie wakes up and he's like, I had the strangest dream. I was walking towards a light and all of a sudden I felt a small, delicate hand around my cock. And it drew me back with gentle tugging back toward my earthly existence. But that's not what happens.
Nope. He's still not doing great. But he's not dead. Which we're led to believe he would have died had Claire not just gone ahead and wanked him right off.
Yeah, totally.
And having had a firm talking to from Ian and then a firm seeing to from Claire, he tells her, I free you from your promise. You can take my leg if that's the only thing that will save my life. And she looks so grateful and so upset. And then they're all drinking whiskey and Ian comes in. He's like, Auntie Claire, how can I help? She's like, I'm going to need more than one pair of hands. That's not a joke. That really is what happens. So we're clear.
Hold on.
Wait.
So then we go to Brianna and Roger's house, and Roger pulls out from his little wee pocket the snake's head.
Oh, fuck yeah. Jesus Christ, I was getting worried.
Bree's like, what the fuck? And he goes, I don't know, something about it. It just made me want to pick it up and get my hands just all over it. And
God,
she
I'm
looks
so
at
glad,
it.
Julie, I'm so glad that penises don't have fangs.
Me too.
Can you imagine?
That scared the shit out of me.
Terrible. Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't
How
like
come?
that.
You know what's really sexist? There are all those stories about vagina dentata.
Dentata.
And no stories about penises with fangs.
I guess maybe shooting a kid into you is fang enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
that is pretty like
Like a little, you remember Bunicula?
Yes.
Like that, but penicula.
that's a pinnacle joke right there. Oh
Oh my God.
Julie, are you picturing a penis with rabbit ears and fangs? Because that's what I'm picturing.
Yes, but then I'm also picturing said penis with rabbit ears with little fangs sucking all the juice out of a stalk of celery.
fucking Christ.
Well,
Because the title of the second book was The Celery Stalks at Midnight, and so I always think about celery when I think about Bunicula. You guys.
guys,
Oh my goodness.
this is going really well.
So
So,
Brianna grabs the snake and is like, what the fuck? And she squeezes it, and then she has an engineer mind fuck. Oh, yeah. She can
This
use the
is-
tooth to make a syringe.
fucking brilliant. And this is also right from the Bix. Only then I think they have to go out looking for another rattlesnake. I don't think they bring it home. But basically, and she comes bursting into the surgery, which she has to go through like 6 sets of doors to get there. And then like through the
over a
vestibule.
bed.
Through the
She
Zen
stops
garden.
She stops at security, has her ID badge checked, continues on. Comes in and is like, did you know that snakes are beautifully engineered?
And her
it's a
mom
little-
is just picking up the saw like, what the fuck?
like, what? Brianna, I gotta cut your dad's leg off right now, okay? Go back to not fucking your husband. I'm busy. And then...
Heyo.
and she's like, no, listen. The way that rattlesnakes work is they have to use this pouch in the side of their mouth to push the venom through their teeth. And she holds up this thing she made, which Julie describes as looking like a piping bag for when you're piping icing on a cake. that she's put the fucking anti-venom, or no, not the anti-venom, that the penicillin broth can go into. So Claire is able to basically frosting the inside of Jamie's body. She's able to write like "Happy 25th birthday, Jessica."
You're welcome.
In penicillin inside Jamie's body, and she puts it. It's really gruesome, like right in the wound, like.
Oh, and the wound is like Freddy Krueger-ish now. It's terrible.
And he lives.
Yay, Jamie
keeps
lives.
his leg too.
And he keeps his
my
leg.
God.
Although imagine the fucking sexual shenanigans they could have got up to with that peg leg.
I'm serious. That would have been a very interesting Outlander.
It could have been some very confusing pole dancing.
But maybe if it was removable, we would have seen some like high quality pegging.
Pegging with a peg, but splinters.
Ooh, you're right. Brianna's gonna have to engineer a condom.
She is, or at least shellac.
Yeah. All right. That my last note that I have is just snake tooth needles. So you're gonna have to close this guy out.
Marsley has her baby.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was
in the
looming
woods.
the entire time.
In the woods.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dramatic.
It's when she and Fergus and their kids are out hunting for maggots for Jamie's leg. She like leans up against a tree and is like, "Oh God!" And then Fergus is like, "Well, here we go again." And that was kind of it.
Fergus has Jermaine, the older kid, who is somewhere between 2 and 27. It's unclear. And then their baby. And he's like, and he runs up to her when she starts being like, "Oh God, oh, we can't get to the hospital. I'm about to have this baby in this car on the side of the road." That thing. But he runs up. He's like, will you hold the baby? Not really, but that's what it looks like. He's like, "I don't know what. I have a tiny child in my hands. How do I help you deliver this baby when I hold this other baby?" And then she's in one. Then like they cut to Marsley and her beautiful hair cascading over her shoulder in one of the many beds.
Mm-hmm. This one's not the surgery bed. This one's not her surgery bed. This is the pantry bed.
So many beds. And she's had a little girl, and she's very cute and pretty, and every life is anew, blah-de-blah. And then Roger and Jamie are having a conversation, again, with their new understanding, right? Their new, let's not call it a bromance, but it's like a father-son man's.
Some respect. There's definite respect there.
And a collegiality. Like, they're joking with each other, and it's nice. It's a very nice vibe. It's a good vibe. And Jamie says, "Well, you know, you don't have to hold up to your word anymore because I can still kill Stephen Bonnet." And Roger's like, "Oh, I know you can, but I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you because I want to get this done because I want to fucking murder the man who raped my wife." Also, they have a conversation about how Roger tells Brianna, we skip this part, Roger tells Brianna that Jamie made him promise to go with him. Mm-hmm. So now everybody knows that everybody knows, right? Roger told Jamie that Brianna overheard him at the wedding. So everyone knows that everyone knows about Bonnet, which is good. Thank fucking God. People should have conversations all the time.
No shit.
What comes of it.
Transparent communication, people.
And she says that, and Roger tells her that Jamie is worried that Bonnet will be able to take Jamie away because the whole room full of people will say that she was willing to fuck him for that ring. So it won't matter that she says, "But we were married. Surely if possession is 9/10 of the law, that should count for something." And he's like, "Well, first of all, I don't think Stephen Bonnet cares about the law. And second, we were handfast and there were no witnesses."
Yes. Oh, great callback. That was such a good joke earlier.
Many witnesses at our wedding much later when Jamie was 15 years old. So anyway, point being, Roger's like, "I want to go with you to kill Stephen Bonnet because I know I can't shoot for shit. But you're going to teach me how to fight, and then we're going to go take down Stephen Bonnet so he cannot take my son. And also, let's just hope that none of us gets bit by a snake while we're doing it."
I'm telling you, I don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it. It's a good episode. It's a good episode that is going to be always and forever
the hand job episode.
The dying hand job episode. Because this is like, it makes the 30-second bean flicking in season 1 look quaint.
Yeah.
Because that was just like, maybe she was ready for it. You know what I mean? Like maybe somehow she did ride a horse all day. Maybe there's a lot of jostling. Right?
Maybe. But he is actually on death's door, and she just tugs like 3 times and he comes back to life.
In a little monologue, he's like, well, I knew I needed you to touch me, and then I felt you, and I walked back through the door, and it's a good, literally every scene in this episode except for that one is good, and even that one is well done. It's just poorly handled.
Oh yeah. Oh,
because I'm just not sure.
Shit.
I'm just not sure it translates that well from the book. Like, I just don't know. I feel like that's the kind of thing that, like, maybe you roll your eyes a little bit while you're reading it, but at least you understand what's happening from the character's perspective directly.
Yeah.
Because it's basically there's no barrier. It's skin-to-skin contact, you and the narrator's mind, right?
Yeah.
You're barebacking.
God.
But you can't recreate that experience in the show. So it's
in a filming experience. This feels like something that maybe they should have just walked away from. They should have abstained.
I would have gotten it if she just did the whole like body contact and like heat thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, I feel like that would have been enough, but I know that they were trying to remind us of the incredible sexual energy that these two people share, I guess. But it also was like, okay.
You know, it's connected to their love and whatever, and yeah, it didn't translate well. It didn't translate well. But other than that, like, really great episode.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. I mean, even with all the handy puns, like, it was...
Yeah, like I said, Marsley had a baby, and and Julie literally forgot about it. That's how much happened in this episode.
Well, and the fact that Jamie and Roger actually like are having some comeuppance and like getting to know each other a bit better.
Yep.
I think that and that's a big plot point for those two, right? Like,
it'll matter a lot next week. Jesus. Next week on Outlander, all the shit hits the fan. No snakes, no hand jobs.
How many episodes are left? So that was number 9, so there are 4 left, right? There's 13 this season?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's
on
like
a
6 years from
scale,
now?
Yeah.
let's start with costumes. On a scale of you just draw a mustache on your penis to like an entire little tuxedo with a bowler hat on top, also on a penis, where does this fall on the costume scale?
Well, I feel like it has to be somewhat mystical, right? There has to be some sort of magical realism.
Ooh, would you say it's like a Fleetwood Mac video?
I would say it's more like going to see a really professional production of puppetry of the penis.
Where there's a whole chorus of penises that are doing a kick line.
Yep.
With their balls.
Because that's all I was thinking about.
Hold on, Julie, I want you to picture
the entire episode.
Penis balls. Are you ready?
Yes.
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. 1. Flick. Singular sensation. Left ball, right ball, right. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Wait,
1.
left
flick,
ball,
flick.
right ball, 1 ball change.
There it is.
Suck ball change. Suck ball change. Suck ball change. Flap. Okay.
Wow.
Next up will be the sexual content scale, obviously. So on a scale of, you know what? I'm not even sure I can really do this one because all the things I went to are really creepy. Because you know the line between a hand job that's creepy and a hand job that's not creepy is extremely fine.
Yes,
it's just like
one would almost say non-existent.
So I God, I don't know. How about this? On a scale of a creepy movie theater to the first penis I saw, first penis, very first penis. First penis, very first penis I saw.
Okay, so to me, it was a little bit ludicrous and came out of nowhere, but I've had so much enjoyment from it afterwards, making up jokes and laughing at fucking handy jokes and dick jokes, that it's worth it. So, Allison, do you remember that film, that short film that we watched at your house? Hand fart.
I do remember hand fart.
It's like hand fart. I didn't expect it. Didn't know where it was coming from. Was blown away when it happened. Like, what? And then afterwards, I'm just laughing about it all the time. Hand fart.
A delight. Yep, that's good. All right, and then getting up to get a beer scale. On a scale of wow, this is taking 20 minutes. To, hey, now it's time for round 2. Where does this fall?
Whoa, shit, that's a great scale.
Thanks.
This falls, you know, once they got back to the ridge, but that was about halfway through the episode. I don't think I would have gotten up. But there were a couple of times where they were in the woods and it was the father to son shit, and it was fine, but it was all kind of very same, at least in my opinion. Meh. So I could have gotten up at least once or twice. So I'm going to call it Tuesday night. That's my scale.
Great. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I had a really good dirty joke, and it flew right out of my mind. Oh, that sucks. What was it? It's something. Oh. No, it was a question, a sincere question.
Yeah.
Say, for whatever reason, I don't know, you are fooling around, but you can't have penetrative intercourse, and for some, like, I don't know, and you just had your wisdom teeth taken out, so a blowjob is not an option. So
I just don't know that I'd be having any kind of sexy times if I just had my wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah, but let's pretend that, I don't know, it's somebody's birthday, or like you're high on wisdom tooth drugs, right? Something. You're definitely you're up for it. You're game, right?
Okay.
But for whatever reason, you're giving a handy, and it's taking a very long time.
Yes.
Would you get up to get a beer, and then go back to work?
Yes, but it would be whiskey.
Sure. But you'd get up to get a drink. You'd be like, hold that thought and also that peen. I'll be right back. I've got to get a drink.
Undoubtedly.
And then you'd come back. Great. Good to know. Mm-hmm. Good to know. You know, let's speed things up, though. You wouldn't have this problem because you'd exercise a woman's secret.
Well, no, I'm going to say there is the possibility that when I'm gone to get the whiskey, Neil just fucking takes care of it. Because he's so much better at whacking himself off,
you know,
right?
I was just thinking,
he's had more practice.
I was just thinking that, like, this is one, like, to me, if someone was like, hey, listen, I need to go get a drink, I'd be like, okay, I'll just sit here and I'll prime the pump.
You know what would have made that scene better? What would have made the scene better if Claire had been, you know, doing like a gentle back from the dead tug, and then Jamie had been like, Claire, a little gently, get some hand lotion.
A little bit up to the left.
Claire, cut my balls, Claire.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for us, guys.
Yeah.
Intense. Good grief.
I think, Allison, you really did a knockout job. I want to read a couple more euphemisms that I had written down that I did not get to use.
Hit us.
Fiver. I really like that one.
Fiver's good.
Fiver.
You know what it makes me think of? An American Tail, Fiver Goes West. That's when you get that's when you get a hand job and there's a little cowboy hat on the top of your penis.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I got to use the term handicrafts, but there it is.
Oh, that was the dying day. They were working on handicrafts.
I thought I said handmade.
You know what? You know what should be a euphemism for getting a hand job? Homesteading.
Homesteading.
Homesteading. It
'Cause
just
you're
feels
alone.
right.
You're at home. You're
You're
home.
tilling the soil. Mm-hmm. You've got to really work it. You've got to work the soil to get the grain.
Okay, I'm with you. I'll go with it.
And you got to put your back into it.
Well, I mean, it's all about leverage. You don't have to go that
Right.
hard. Yeah.
So anyway, Patty, what a weird one this is. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/podlandercast. You can find us on Twitter at Podlandercast. You can find us on Patreon, where you can support the show, join our absolutely filthy, in some sections, Slack channel, and unbelievably wholesome in others. Today we got footage of a tiny child riding a mini horse named Tinkerbell.
Yes, and it's
Come
cute.
on. It's adorable. It's cute as fuck.
Someone did MASH for me,
Yeah.
which I thought
Cheers.
was really cute. I like
Oh,
that.
it was so cool. God damn it. Who was it? Let me find. Was it?
I do remember a couple of
Ames.
things.
Cheers to Ames. Ames.
Your partner was Lord John Grey, so you and Coinface were hanging out at Lollybrock.
Yeah.
You had 3 kids, I remember that. One of you was a blacksmith.
Yeah, my best friend is Fergus, which is
There you
fucking
go,
awesome.
yeah.
And my pet was the cat. What's the cat's name?
Adso.
Adso.
And your
Adso.
transportation was Frank's convertible,
Fuck
which is
yeah.
a pretty sweet
But
ride.
I had the trauma of a hanging. That
I know,
fucking
that's not
sucks.
great. That's
Good
not great.
God. Ugh.
You're just going to have to sit by the enormous roaring fireplace at Lollybrock with a nice single malt and just talk it out with Lord John.
God, you know what?
Because
That's-
even if it's not a physical relationship, you two could have a beautiful emotional love affair.
And you know what? Like, I saw that and I was like, I might not give him the intimacy he completely needs and deserves, but man, that would be a fulfilling relationship. I would
Nice
be
friendship.
So into it.
Yeah.
So point being, you can support us on Patreon, which makes it possible for us to do the show, which, even though it might sound it, is not cheap. At patreon.com/podlanderdrunkcast. You can join at any level, but for $3 and up, you can join the Slack channel, which is cool as hell. And I think it's at the $5 level you get bonus episodes, which we're about to drop one on Ken Burns baseball. Oh my
Oy
God.
vey.
It should have been a penis wearing a baseball uniform.
That's
what the scale should have
all
been.
the baseball puns we could have used too.
That would have been a home run.
Oh, no. Guys.
We do that in Ken Burns baseball too, though. So watch out. There's more ball humor coming your way.
Lots of ball humor. Anyway,
Yeah.
you can find that at patreon.com/podlanderdrunkcast. We want to thank all of our patrons who make it possible for us to do this show. Thank you so much. But we especially want to thank Dr. J, the standard bearer for medical-related dick puns. Thank you so much. You're the best. Zena Perez, Stella Welch, Misty Ojepi, Kayla Reagan, Amanda Newton, Jen Lander Drunklin, Trish McCrary, Lori McGuire, Katie Kirshner, Beth Locke, Rochelle Lefevre, Rochelle, tell me how to pronounce her name. The other Janine, love that one. John Samoski, Amy Gustafson, Mary the Falling Statue, Tori, Shannon Duffy, Alicia Glenn, Liz Peniston, Philip Nacco, Heather Moore, Amanda Whitney Harrington, Chrissy Shively, Maria Emma Lofald, Samantha Smith, Jenna Polkowski, Steph Peterson, Rachel Townsend, Tara Lucchino, Catherine Marshall Eastman, Chantel Salters, Mary Lumpkin, Crystal Nanavati, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Flourish Root, Friday Payton, Kathleen Moniz, Hi Mom, Mom Pickles, aka Laura, you're the best, and our official Slack Den mother, Kiki, the Wise. Thank you so much for all that you do. I hope that you all got a hard-on from this episode. That's the last. Yep, that's not a pun. That's just a statement of fact.
I can just say I'm spent. I'm spent.
Guys, that was fun. That was fun.
Okay.
But you know what? Even though it ended early, I still found it satisfying. And by that I mean the joke.
Oh yeah. Oh no, because we just kept going.
It was like
as one does to
As
get the
one
job
does.
done.
We powered through. I hope it was satisfying. Although it was probably pretty messy.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the episode is a penis. I'm saying the episode is a penis. No, I'm not. I don't know what I'm saying. Bye.